In the ancient wilderness of Sinai, amid swirling sands and blazing skies, a newly liberated nation stood at the foot of a mountain. The Israelites, freed from the iron grip of Pharaoh, were bound not only by their shared suffering but by a divine covenant. It was here, at Mount Sinai, that God, speaking through thunder and fire, gave Moses the Ten Commandments, a code of divine law inscribed on stone tablets. But these tablets, more than sacred decrees, needed a dwelling place befitting their sanctity. Thus began the tale of the Ark of the Covenant, a symbol of God's presence, power, and unyielding promise. Under divine instruction, Moses summoned the craftsmen of Israel. The leader among them, Bezalel, was said to be filled with the Spirit of God, gifted in wisdom and craftsmanship. From acacia wood, resilient and enduring, they fashioned a rectangular chest, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high, overlaid with pure gold inside and out. Its brilliance mirrored the glory of the one it represented. Atop the ark, the craftsmen fashioned the mercy seat, a lid of solid gold. On either end stood 2 cherubim, their wings outstretched toward each other, forming a radiant throne for the invisible God. Here, between the cherubim, God's presence would dwell, speaking to his people and guiding them on their journey. The ark was designed not merely as a container, but as a sacred symbol. Gold rings affixed to its sides allowed poles to slide through, ensuring the ark was never touched directly by human hands, a reflection of God's holiness. The ark found its first home within the tabernacle, a mobile sanctuary constructed according to divine specifications. Veiled within the Holy of Holies, the ark was the centerpiece of Israel's worship. It housed the stone tablets of the law, a golden jar of manna, and Aaron's budding staff, tokens of God's provision, authority, and covenant. As the Israelites wandered the wilderness, the ark led their procession. Whenever the camp moved, Moses would cry, "Rise up, O Lord, let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you." And when the ark rested, he would declare, "Return, O Lord, to the many thousands of Israel." The Ark of the Covenant was not merely a religious artifact. It was the emblem of divine might. When the Israelites reached the Jordan River, swollen and impassable, the ark went before them. As the priests carrying it stepped into the waters, the river parted, allowing the nation to cross on dry ground, just as their ancestors had done at the Red Sea. Years later, at Jericho, the ark played a pivotal role. For 6 days, the priests marched around the fortified city, the ark at the heart of their procession. On the 7th day, as trumpets blared and the people shouted, Jericho's walls crumbled, a testament to the ark's power as a divine weapon. Yet, the ark's power was not to be taken lightly. When the Israelites faced the Philistines in battle, they treated the ark like a talisman, carrying it into the fray without seeking God's guidance. Their presumption led to disaster. The Philistines defeated Israel and captured the Arkansas. The Philistines, jubilant in their victory, brought the ark to Ashdod and placed it in the temple of Dagon, their god. But their triumph soon turned to terror. The morning after its arrival, they found the statue of Dagon toppled, its head and hands severed. A stark warning from the God of Israel. Plagues of tumors and death swept through the Philistine cities, housing the Arkansas fearful of its power. They returned it to Israel on a cart drawn by cows, unaccompanied, to ensure its departure was no accident. The ark came to rest in the Israelite town of Beth Shemesh, where its return was celebrated with sacrifices and offerings. Yet, even among the Israelites, the ark demanded reverence. Some men of Beth Shemesh, overcome by curiosity, dared to look inside the Arkansas. Their irreverence cost them their lives, a stark reminder of God's holiness and the sacredness of his covenant. The ark was moved to Kiriath Jearim, where it remained for years, kept in the house of Abinadab and guarded by his son Eleazar. Generations passed, and the ark lay forgotten by many, a relic of a bygone era. But when David ascended to the throne, he sought to restore its place among the people. David, a man after God's own heart, recognized the ark as a symbol of divine kingship and favor. With great pomp and joy, David arranged for the ark to be brought to Jerusalem. Yet, the procession was marred by tragedy. As the ark was transported on a cart, the oxen stumbled, and a man named Uzzah reached out to steady it. His irreverent act, though well-intentioned, violated God's command, and he was struck down. David, both grieved and fearful, paused the journey, leaving the ark at the house of Obed-Edom. For 3 months, the household of Obed-Edom was blessed abundantly, prompting David to complete the ark's journey with even greater reverence and celebration. Clad in a linen ephod, David danced before the Lord with all his might as the ark entered Jerusalem. His joy, unrestrained and unashamed, became a symbol of the proper response to God's presence. The ark was placed in a tent David had prepared, becoming the focal point of Israel's worship once more. Under King Solomon, David's son, the ark found its final earthly home. Solomon built a magnificent temple in Jerusalem, a permanent dwelling for the Lord among his people. In a ceremony of unparalleled splendor, the ark was brought into the temple and placed in the inner sanctuary, the Holy of Holies. As the priests withdrew, the temple was filled with a cloud, the glory of the Lord, signifying his acceptance of the dwelling place. The ark, now veiled from human sight, remained the heart of Israel's worship, a reminder of God's covenant and faithfulness. Yet, the story of the ark ends with mystery. When Babylon conquered Jerusalem in 586 BCE, the temple was destroyed and the ark vanished. Whether it was hidden, destroyed, or taken by the conquerors remains a matter of speculation and legend. Despite its disappearance, the ark's significance endures. It pointed to a deeper truth: God's desire to dwell among his people. In Christian theology, the ark is seen as a foreshadowing of Jesus Christ, the ultimate manifestation of God's presence and the mediator of a new covenant. Thus, the story of the Ark of the Covenant, though ancient, speaks to timeless truths of reverence, faith, and the unyielding promise of a God who desires to be with his people.